That guy looks familiar. Not sure from where.
Greetings. Hi there. You might be wondering where we are. This is my good friend Tara's house. She lives in LA. We're still in California. The biggest downside to playing poker in LA when you don't live here is the cost of accommodation. Easily runs into 100-ish per night. So if you're here for 4 nights, 5 nights, that kind of adds up. Luckily, my good friend Tara has invited me to stay at her place, crash here free of charge while she's in Australia. So thanks, Tara. It's good to have good friends, you know? Right, so we're still here in California. Actually, I went back to Vegas for 3 nights or so following San Diego. Wrapped up the rest of that editing. Back here, back to California, back to the grind. It's gonna be all business today. The last video was a fun one. No poker in that video. But I do appreciate all the kind words that everyone had to say about that video, so that was cool. But yeah, this one's just gonna be all business. No messing around, straight to the poker room. Which poker room, you might ask? Alright guys, this is it. Welcome to the gambling mecca of the universe. The biggest poker room in all the land, Commerce Casino. Not the biggest casino, but the biggest poker room. The most poker tables. I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna play. It's either gonna be 5-10 no limit or 5-5-10 PLO. I'll probably maybe even bounce back and forth. I'm also not entirely sure what the filming policy will be in there. I imagine it's gonna be pretty strict, so I'm just gonna have to see what happens, play it by ear a little bit. Usual drill, let's go. All right, so quick update. I sat in the 5-10 no limit. It was so-so at best, so I'm gonna hop in the PLO. We're gonna get some 4-card action here. It's a 5-5 with a $10 rock. So whoever wins the previous hand, the $10 straddle automatically goes in front of them. It comes out of the pot. So it'll be $10, sort of a Mississippi straddle, but it's called a rock. So it's 5-5, 10, 1500 max, in for 1500. So in this hand, the rock is in middle position. I'm next to act, and I look down at ace, queen, queen, jack with nut diamonds. I make it 35 to go. There's 2 calls, and the button puts in a 3-bet, makes it 180. There's an early position cold call, and it's back to us. Not really looking to get it in pre-flop. Have a very connected, very pretty hand. Happy to take a flop, happy to go multi-way. Happy to try and cooler someone with either flush over flush, set over set, one of those kind of situations. So I call, and there is 1 call behind me. So we're going 4 ways to a flop here. Flop is King Jack 8 rainbow. So we flop a gutter to the nuts and backdoor nut flush draw, but unfortunately that's about it. So the big blind puts out a C-bet. He bets $650. It folds to us, and it seems like not too much choice here. Just gonna have to give it up, so I fold.
So in this hand, the rock is under the gun, and it folds all the way to me on the button. I look down at queen 10, 10, 8 with one suit. I put it in a raise and make it 35 to go, and both the blinds call. So we go three ways this time. Flop is ace, queen 5, rainbow. Both the blinds check, and you could consider a bet here. I don't know. We have second pair and a gut shot to the nuts, so I just decided to take a free card with somewhat of showdown value here. Turn is a 10 of clubs, and it brings a backdoor flush draw that gives us a set. So on this street, the small blind leads out, and he bets just about pot. He bets $115. The big blind calls, and it's on us. Folding seems a little bit too tight, but normally when players lead right out and they announce pot, they bet the maximum. It's usually pretty nutted. Price is decent. There's a small chance I have the best hand. I just decided to call and see what happens on the river. The river's an offsuit 4. The small blind leads again. He puts a smaller bet this time, $175. The big blind thinks for a little bit and folds. I just decided to let it go. I can't beat too much. I can beat ace queen, I can beat pocket 5s. I just decided to fold because the small blind had been playing really tight. It's possible he could have a set of 5s there, but the way he had been playing, he was playing pretty snug. Just decided to let it go. So in this hand, the rock is in middle position. I look down at ace, queen, queen 3 with a suited ace. I decide to raise it up, make it 35 to go. This time we get 5 callers. Pretty good action here in the PLO game. Game is above average, as it tends to be. So we're going to a 6-way flop here. Flop is ace, jack, 7, all spades. Pretty disappointing. The flop checks all the way through. The turn is an offsuit 8. Again, the action checks almost all the way through, but this time the cutoff bets $75. We all fold. So unfortunately, this is just kind of the way the night is going. When every hand is going multi-way, it doesn't seem like there's that much thing that can be done as far as maneuvering. In a 6-way pot, you're not going to be able to do any bluffing. Even in these 3- and 4-way pots, it doesn't seem like you're going to be too successful trying to barrel your way through these fields, these multi-way pots. So running a little bit card dead and just trying to make a hand. That's the story so far. All right, just a quick update. Stepping outside, get some fresh air. Running pretty poorly. Stuck $500,000-ish, give or take. Just not making any hands. It's amazing. You can actually be like incredibly card dead in PLO and just whiff flop after flop. But you know the saying, that's the way it goes sometimes. So just gonna keep battling. The 5-10 no limit games don't look that great either. So staying after it in the PLO for now. We're gonna try and get unstuck, but I would settle for less stuck at the moment. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So in this hand, I have the rock in an early position, which means I actually won a hand. Small one though, not too big. So there's 5 limps to me, and I look down at ace, king, king, 8 with a suit to the ace. I decided to raise it up here. It's extremely likely that I have the best hand here. Happy to play a bigger pot with this hand, get some value, get some money in the pot. So I raise it up, I make it 70 to go. We get 3 calls, and then the big blind jams all in for $420. Seems like a mostly favorable situation. It seems like I should still rate to have the best hand here, especially versus all of the limp callers. I would expect at that point that someone might put in a 3-bet with aces, and we obviously block aces having one of them. So I'm happy to go heads up for this price. I'm happy to play an all-in situation with this player in the big blind who only had $420. So I'm gonna try and thin the field and get it heads up. So I decide to put in a 4-bet and make it 970 or something along those lines. It's basically announcing that I'm committed to this hand. The limp callers, they all fold. So we get the situation that we wanted. We're going heads up against the big blind. The board runs out ace high. We end up with 1 pair on this board. Not a very strong holding, but I announced my hand, 1 pair, top kicker. And after a lot of studying between the board and the big blind's hand, back and forth, trying to figure out what he has, turns out he doesn't have anything. Turns out 1 pair is good. So we did have the best hand pre-flop, and we ended up with the best hand by the river. So we win a decent sized pot here, and happy to get it in good and come out ahead.
All right, so I might have been being a little bit dramatic, a little bit over dramatic with the whole stuck $500,000 thing. It had been a while since I had played a decent sized PLO game. 5-5-10 PLO game. That's pretty much the biggest game that I semi-regularly play. By the way, this is not something you want to make a habit out of, is walking through the parking lot in Commerce Casino with a camera. But anyway, like I was saying, that's pretty much the biggest game that I play regularly. I tend to think of PLO games as basically twice the size of no limit games of the same stake, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that's exactly mathematically accurate or not, but I tend to think of a 5-10 PLO game. I expect approximately double the swings. I'll tell you, I was stuck approximately 2.5K at one point in this game tonight. Is that much in a 5-5-10 PLO game? Not really. I think the standard deviations in a 5-5-10 PLO game, I think 2.5K is very well within the typical swings. So yeah, like I said, I was probably being a little bit dramatic with the whole stuck a bunch thing. Even according to results, took about 3 hands to get unstuck or whatever, and ended up booking a win of $713. So I don't know if I'll be hopping back in the PLO game anytime soon. I feel like my edge is, like I've said before in another video, certainly bigger in the no limits. I just have put a little bit more work in no limits and discussed way more no limit hands than I have PLO hands. It's a fun game. I recommend hopping in there and giving it a shot whenever possible. So I don't know, maybe we'll just jump back in there like tomorrow or something. No, probably not tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be back on the no limit streets. And it probably won't be back here at Commerce, because I suspect once they get a view of that drone footage, we'll see what happens with that one. But more LA poker to come.